fight's not over.
Stop the fight!
People.
Everybody, I come here for everybody. Kill everybody. I'm the champ. I'm the king. Kill everybody. Ah!
What's up, guys? It's Lane here with Broke Bets. Got Carson with me too.
Yeah, what's going on?
We're getting into the Kattar versus Allen card, so if you want to skip ahead and get to those picks, go ahead. But I really want to talk about 280. I thought we did pretty good on 280. Obviously went negative, almost 0.1 units, not a big deal. But we went 9 and 12 on our picks. I'd kind of say 10 for 12 because Petr Yan, I thought, won. Majority of people thought he won, but we'll get into that. So, first fight on the top at least. Charles Oliveira, Islam. I know there's some Islam guys we had some fun with in the comments, but you want to think so bad that somebody can beat a Habib, a Islam, one of these guys. I mean, it's just the combination and the striking improvement from Islam was really hard for Charles to beat there, and it's tough, and you gotta congratulate Islam where they're fucking good, man.
And then if he fights Volkanovski, I'd assume he would win that, and then I don't know, they'd probably have to make him pound for pound number one. I mean,
I'd agree. Volkanovski's a really hard fight for Volkanovski to take. I think that Oliveira didn't expect any striking from Islam, and Oliveira just loaded up on some strikes, and he didn't expect any to come back his way, and when they did, it just shocked him. So I'd love to see a rematch. I think it would be the same result, but I think it's still like something where Charlie could actually line some things up a little better and not be loading up. But yeah, congrats to Islam. You just kind of wished Olives was still the man. Next, Nikita Krylov beat Ozdemir. It was exactly how I think we described it. He wants to win more, and Ozdemir clearly just doesn't want to win as much. Krylov was going forward the whole fight. Ozdemir...
mixed in his grappling as well.
Exactly.
And he's got pretty good cardio. At the end of the first round, Krylov was at plus money, so I put a little live bet on him.
So tactically, we went positive, I guess.
Yeah, not officially on the sheet, though.
And then next fight, Beneil Dariush upset Mateusz Gamrot, and I didn't have the highest faith in Gamrot in this fight. I thought it was going to be a close fight, but Beneil's takedown defense was the story of the fight, and his scrambling ability. We knew he was good on the ground, but to that level was really impressive. I'd love to see him versus Charlie next, or him a title shot, honestly. And we also knew that Gamrot didn't have much power in his hands, and I think that really showed in the fight.
I thought Gamrot would have been able to control Dariush on the ground a little bit better.
Right. Next one.
Especially Dariush coming off the broken foot. I mean, that didn't seem to affect him at all.
He's a tough guy. He's a hungry fighter. That's like all those lightweights they got a ton of heart.
Yeah, I like him.
Parlays, Barallo made me really nervous. I thought some of the judges' scorecards were kind of weird for this fight. I thought Muradov won a round. Barallo, I don't know, he's just a little shaky performance. He got full mount twice and lost the position and got flipped onto bottom. Not a great look. Makayev, we'll get into it more, but he completed that parlay. And then continuation. Charlie, if he was going to win, it was going to be one of these two ways in the first 3 rounds or by knockout. And, missed on that one. I didn't really want to put another not going the distance bet on this. I just wanted to sit on this one package, see how it went. Next one, Bilal by decision. He only wins by decision typically, and he just had that one big shot on Sean Brady. I thought the stoppage was good. I think that Sean Brady definitely could have ate more shots, but why should you let?
He wasn't even defending himself.
Exactly, and I think Bilal, he's just that squirrely dude. The takedowns weren't even close from Sean Brady to being landed. he makes an interesting fight for a lot of people. Well-rounded game, and juiced up a little bit. Oh, he's not on the juice, I don't think, but like we said with the Krylov fight, the way this dude wins is in rounds 1 or 2. He didn't get it done in rounds 1 or 2, but I think he went for the finish for a good amount of time. He kept on doing a thing where he would get Ozdemir hurt, and then he would shoot a takedown, so that was a little frustrating, but whatever. Next, got bailed out with Makayev by finish. Makayev, alright, good performance still against an experienced fighter, but still made a lot of mistakes in his game. I think he just kind of sits in top position for too much time when he could easily take the back, or even on the feet. He had some good strikes on Malcolm Gordon, and then the second round he came out and he was doing like spinning kicks and just bad technique to try to finish somebody, trying to be too flashy. Then Makayev in round 1 missed. And then Petrosian, AJ Dobson, I was really high on this to go over 1.5. Pretty easy hit. I wonder what the going the distance looked like on this fight. I don't really remember. Probably something pretty good. Again, Bilal not going over 2.5 rounds, lost there. Carol Rosa over 2.5. A little bit nerve-wracking, but still got it. And then, of course, got Sean O'Malley fight. You had this bet starting round 3, and the Damrot bet. Damrot going over 2.5. That was a good bet.
Yeah.
In terms of the O'Malley fight, when I know there's a lot of people that are trying to make a debate for Sean, but when every single judging outlet and whatever score it for Jan, you kind of got to be a little bit honest with yourself. And we were at a casino when we watched these fights, and about 100 people stood up and were just shocked that they won money when this happened. So I realized that Sean had more significant strikes, but it doesn't actually tell the story of the fight. Jan is also extremely good at deflecting punches off his hands. He has very good striking defense. I mean, Sean definitely landed some good strikes, and he impressed the division. But I thought Jan won. Not the biggest deal. Didn't have a bet behind him. But overall, great fight. The decision kind of made the fight feel weird. But
absolutely.
Yeah, that's the card. I mean, again, a little slight differences in this. We got the Bilal pick right. It was just didn't go to the decision. That was the toughest one in my opinion. But a good. I think it was still a decent card. Not a ton of finishes, negative units, but kind of not really. And you ready to go to the next stuff now?
Yes, sir. Moving on.
Okay, for the first fight, we have Cody Durden versus Carlos Mota. Cody Durden coming off a good win against JP Buys, and then a loss to Muhammad Makayev off a quick little fight. I actually think Cody Durden's a pretty quality fighter, flyweight, good wrestling, pretty decent stand-up. He's just had some first-round finishes against him that have been pretty tough. Going to Carlos Mota's side, has pretty good all-round striking. He's not the fastest fighter for a flyweight. Had a really competitive fight with Charles Johnson. Got knocked out late in that fight, but this dude can hold his own. He's got some pretty decent grappling as well. I'd expect a pretty good stand-up fight here. I think Cody could try to mix in his takedowns, but I think Mota's jiu-jitsu could neutralize positions pretty well. I like Cody Durden here for a decision. I see that he's the underdog here on the Tapology community, but again, I think people...
Well, this fight was just made, so...
You don't know who's predicting what either, yeah.
Yeah.
But...
And Moto's coming in on 5 days' notice, so... Durden's had a full training camp.
And, I mean, Durden was about to face Clydeson Rodriguez. He's a really good striker. He was a slight underdog in that matchup, but... I think here Cody's going to ride this one to a decision, but again, it's a sweaty fight. Mota's still got skills. He's got some valuable experience in LFA. But yeah, I'm going to stick with Cody Durden by decision. Okay, for the next fight, we have Roman Dolidze versus Phil Hawes. A lot of people are going on Dolidze as the underdog in this fight, but I still like Phil Hawes here. I think he's made a lot of improvements to his game. I'm actually not going to give him a shit ton of credit for his last win against Duran Win, because Duran Win really isn't the greatest middleweight. He pieced him up the whole entire fight, but to me, Phil Hawes, hand speed improvement, boxing improvement. The biggest question is his chin and his striking defense, and that's been really tough for him to overcome here in the UFC. Chris Curtis, he really was piecing up in the first round of their fight. Chris Curtis has good striking defense, though, and timed a nice left hook, stumbled Phil, and finished him. Roman Dolidze here, I think his striking is not going to be as good as someone like Chris Curtis. Although he is a pretty big individual, he could touch Phil one time and we don't really know. But he just won against Kyle Dawkins, a nice knee. Phil Hawes has also defeated Kyle Dawkins with some quality wrestling. Hawes is, he has some great credentials with his wrestling. I'm sorry, I don't have it off the top of my head. But he also slows down when he uses his wrestling. I think he's actually better on the feet until he needs to use it. Dolidze, very good jiu-jitsu. Doesn't really end up on his back a ton. He usually is in top control. But his level of competition in the UFC really doesn't match up to the same standard I think that Phil Hawes has been through. All the way since his Contender Series fight to some other fights here. Again, Chris Curtis, Kyle Dawkins, Imanov, Malkoun, great wrestler, put him away pretty quick. I like Phil Hawes by a knockout here. Do you like that?
Yeah, I could see that. I could see this going the distance too, to be honest.
I just think with the way he's been fighting recently, which is just like high hand speed, high volume in the first round, Dolidze doesn't ever have high hand speed or strings punches together.
Dolidze's never been finished before.
He got hurt real bad in that Giles fight. He got stumbled pretty bad by some strikes. I think Phil has a lot of power, too. This is another shaky fight, because it's really a question of whether Phil Hawes gets hit or not. I have a hard time seeing this one go the distance, in a way. I mean, if it does, I think Phil Hawes goes and wins the decision. But
yeah, I agree.
I think Dolidze's only way to win, in my eyes, is a knockout. So we'll stick with KO round 1, but again, your input too for a decision is also a good route. Next fight we have is Ugly Man Joseph Holmes versus the Iron Turtle Junyun Park. Interesting matchup. Junyun Park surprises a lot of people in a lot of his fights. Just coming off a win against Eric Anders. I think I can't remember exactly how the fight played out, but it was an unbelievably bad split decision. It was a complete win for Park, I remember. Actually had some competitive moments with Gregory Rodriguez. Hurt Gregory Rodriguez until he got finished on the feet. Beat Tefan and Chukwi, that's a big dude. And has some good wins here in the UFC. But I haven't seen all the development I really want to see from him. Joseph Holmes on the other side, I think this is his second UFC fight. Yeah. Lost to Jamie Pickett on a short notice. I can't fully judge that fight. He wasn't in the best shape he's been in. But overall in this fight, what I see, what you see, I'm sure, is that Park will be the better wrestler here. And I think that he's going to find this fight to the ground. But there's some shaky things here. Joseph Holmes being 6'4", 80-inch reach versus a 5'10", 73-inch Park here. It makes a lot of questions, asks a lot of questions on the feet here for Park. Also on the ground, you'll notice a lot of times with a smaller wrestler and a taller guy on his back that can get to their feet more often. But Holmes likes to sit on his back and play a jiu-jitsu game. He has quite a few submissions on his record. And he likes to throw up those triangle chokes. What's that?
He's got 4 rear naked chokes in his last 6 fights. So, I mean, that's what he likes to do. He'll be looking for the rear naked choke if it gets to the ground.
Yeah, I've seen him pull guillotine and some of his regional stuff. Flick up a triangle on a dude. I mean, he isn't a bad fighter, and it's hard to fully judge that Jamie Pickett loss because it was short notice. I do like his game from that Amedovski fight, although that's a gimme of a fight. Need him pretty quick to the face, which led to a submission. I don't think it's that easy to get rid of Part here. But I would say a live underdog for this fight, but we're sticking with Park. Next fight, we have the M&M Fiend. We have Chase Hooper versus Steve Garcia. Chase Hooper surprising a lot of people, including me in his last fight against Felipe Colares. He's looking a lot bigger. I don't know if you see that too, just from his time of his UFC debut. I know he's getting older, so obviously
he's just filling into his body now. I mean, when he made his UFC debut, he was 19 and looked like a little scrawny kid.
He's going to be one of those guys in the future where when he's on the ground, it's going to be scary for people when he gets like that man strength. And he'll be able to, I mean, he's just super flexible too. In that Colares fight, Colares was kind of dumb and kept taking him down. And Chase Hooper would put his legs up in sweep position from bottom and crazy sweeps. Do you like Chase Hooper for a win here?
Yeah, I do. I don't like the line at minus 245 right now, though. I think that's just the recency bias of Hooper winning his last fight and then Steve Garcia getting knocked out 4 months ago against Machete.
Right.
But yeah, I still do like Hooper to find a submission here.
Yeah, I mean he had crazy transitions on the ground. I don't know if Steve Garcia is going to try to take this one to the ground here. It's a kind of a dangerous move for you to take down someone like Chase Hooper in my mind. I know Steve Garcia is a wrestler, but he really won't be able to perform like ground and pound, or I don't think a submission here on Chase Hooper. I would expect for him to stand up and try to win this fight. That'd be the smart thing to do. I think Hooper's stand-up isn't super polished, but again, a young guy, he can make a lot of improvements here.
He was much improved in his last fight compared to the Steven Peterson one before that.
Right. I just think he definitely surprised me too, just the not sitting on his back the whole time. And I mean, the way that dude throws his legs up at his height, I mean, Felipe Colares was a little bit smaller of a fighter. Steve Garcia didn't really show good fight IQ against Machete. Just ran into his punches and got slept real bad too. Like just face straight down.
After being slept 4 months ago or whatever it's been, that was at lightweight, and now he's coming down to featherweight.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
I don't know if that weight cut will be bad for him or not.
Chase Hooper cuts a ridiculous amount of weight. I mean, he's just going to keep filling out, and he said he weighed like 180 after his last fight. Steve Garcia he's not that big of a dude, like, filled out-wise. That's going to be a tough cut for him.
In 2019, Garcia, on the Contender Series, he was weighed in at bantamweight, but he weighed in at 139, so he's overweight there. And then he fought in LFA at 145. And then when he came to the UFC, he fought at lightweight, 155.
Yeah, a punch here could put Garcia to sleep again. That's a scary cut. I think we'll stick with submission, but I think even Hooper might be able to get done on the feet then. But we'll see. Hopefully Hooper's improved his stand-up. Way too big of a favorite, like you said in the beginning.
I think he should be like minus 150, somewhere around there.
Right. He's for a young fighter, hasn't really strung together wins. I agree. But Chase Hooper, I put submission round 2. Do you like that?
I like it, yeah.
Okay, for the next fight, we have Andrei Arlovski versus Marcos Rogerio de Lima. De Lima just coming off a loss against Blagoy Ivanov, which in a lot of that fight, he did what seemed to be most of the damage, and Ivanov just kind of held him against the fence, which won him that fight. Actually won money on Ivanov.
Thank you.
Andrei Arlovski, really questionable win in his last fight against Jake Collier. A lot of people thought he lost. Didn't really seem to do
myself, but I did have money on Arlovski.
And he wins by decision. He goes to decisions. I think the tough thing here is Arlovski's not going to be able to match this power. I do see a knockout against Arlovski here. Do you see that?
Yeah, I like Lima to find the knockout here. I think if he pushes the pace and pushes Arlovski and doesn't do the kickboxing at range like Arlovski likes to play,
right,
and point fight, I think he can find the finisher.
Yeah, I mean, he's really aggressive fighter generally. I like that win against Ben Rothwell's a really good example of it. And he really puts that pressure on somebody. And Arlovski, just for me, didn't look as well in his last fight. I'm actually seeing here on Tapology, most people are picking Arlovski by decision. Maybe he does it. But another thought of mine, say Arlovski, I don't think that Lima would quite take him down, but I think Arlovski could get knocked down and Lima could fall on him. And as soon as that happens, the fight's pretty much over for Arlovski. All that weight, not being able to get up. I don't see a knockout for Arlovski whatsoever, but Lima by knockout seems pretty safe here. I got round 1.
Yes, sir.
Okay, next fight we have is Shandor versus Josh Fremd. Looking at Shandor just coming off a loss. Pretty bad loss, in my opinion. I mean, Cody Brunage is a decent fighter, but overall got caught right on the chin with a bad timed leg kick, no defense behind it, no strike behind it, or ahead of it. And then got put straight to the ground, got put in full mount, and then polished off. And his overall just UFC experience is just not, well, I want to say UFC, MMA experience is just not super deep. And we talked about this in the last breakdown. We didn't like how low volume he was, and that really can just cost him fights. So do you like Josh Fremd here as well?
I like him. Yeah, I think Fremd will win this fight. I think he'll be pushing the pace, more volume. Shandor, I mean, he's got pretty decent takedown defense, but yeah, he's just too gun shy for my liking. And I think Fremd will be able to win a decision here.
Right. I mean, he's shown he's got that good power. I'm sure face-offs will be funny. He always is telling people they'll lose, but all respect about it. I'm going to beat your ass, but I like you, or like some shit like that. At least on Tough, he would say that constantly. Fremd, I was actually really impressed with his Anthony Hernandez performance. He found himself on top a couple times against a really good grappler. Andrei Barrial just got demolished by Anthony Hernandez, and Fremd had his moments in that fight. And I like his stand-up here. I like his kicking game, especially. He can have nice body kicks, really good length with that. And again, Shandor being low volume, Fremd could easily time a strike when Tresean just tries to do one shot, and it could be night-night or it could be decision. I think both guys play it safe, respect each other's power, and Fremd decision here. That's your call, I know.
Yes, sir. Fremd by decision.
But yeah, interesting fight. Who knows? But I like Fremd overall on the feet should have higher volume, better striking, and he might mix in a takedown too. Also, I thought he had really good cardio for coming in short notice against Anthony Hernandez and having that performance as well. So, Josh Fremd by decision. Okay, next fight we have is Waldo Cortes-Acosta versus Jared main card Vanderaa. I don't know how this guy makes it on the main card every card. You're pound for pound one of the worst heavyweights, pound for pound one of the worst fighters on the roster, and you keep on making it on the main card.
Hey, Vanderaa he's putting on a show recently.
A belly show? Belly dancing like Joe Gatto? I mean, We're going with Waldo Cortes-Acosta. Jared Vanderaa showing a horrible fight IQ versus Chase Sherman, a guy with a horrible ground game and better striking than him. Got slept late in that fight. Coming off just 4 straight losses is hilarious.
This one might push him out of the UFC.
He should have been pushed. This is just a feeder fight, and I honestly don't think Cortes-Acosta is that great either. I mean, he knocked out a guy in the Contender Series who didn't really have a single moment. I will say it looked like he got his hand speed a lot better for his striking. Formerly, they talked about him being a pitcher. I don't know if he was in the minor leagues or whatever, but he's got a lot of hand speed. Cranks his arm up a lot for every shot. And then there's a little bit to be nervous about here. I mean, he's not a super polished fighter, and what easily could happen is that he loads up on every shot in round 1 and then just fucking loses rounds 2 and 3 because he's gassed. But you're facing Jared Vanderaa. I mean, he's gonna do one of these like little waves at weigh-ins like he did last time, then get fucking slept. I'm saying knockout round 1. The whole world is 93% on Acosta and about 85% by knockout. Yeah. This is Jared Vandeera's cut fight, in my opinion.
I'll be saying, "Where's Waldo?" when he waking up from that snap.
Yeah. Where's Waldo by knockout round 1. Okay, next fight we have is Dustin Jacoby versus Khalil Rountree. I'll say it right away. I'm going with Dustin Jacoby here. Kind of surprised the line is as close as what it is. I mean, Khalil Rountree has more of a hype name behind him because he has some viral knockouts, some viral performances. But he's also been on Joe Rogan's podcast, kind of gets a little more hype for that. People are probably betting on him. I've seen that Jacoby's line has since sank since initial opening. I like Jacoby. It could either be a knockout or decision. Burp. I like that Dustin Jacoby has professional kickboxing experience. Khalil Rountree has really polished Muay Thai, but he loads up on his shots. He's not very straight with his shots. We just saw Dustin Jacoby sleep Daun Yong with a pretty straight punch right off the ear, kind of like on the side of the face. Faced a fast fighter in Mikhail Olajaychek. And this has some overall good wins and a lot of fight experience. And I think he's going to be actually a better grappler here as well, which he might end up using because Khalil Rountree's ground game is really just not there. Khalil Rountree's last win against Carl Robertson, who just retired. Didn't really have a great run in the UFC. Mostas Bukauskas, that dude broke his fucking leg. Really hasn't done anything in the UFC either. Jimmy Crute slept that dude. And then lost to Marcin Prachno, Ian Tutabala. Again, lacking in the ground game. And again, a viral performance against Eric Anders. But Eric Anders isn't much of a stand-up fighter. He's just kind of a tough guy. Do you like a knockout or decision here?
I'd probably lean decision, but I mean, the way Jacoby fought in this last fight was super impressive. I could see a knockout as well, but decision is what I see.
I see it that way as well. The only way I really see a knockout is if Khalil Rountree tries to put this pace on really early and gets caught himself. I don't think Jacoby doesn't really put a pace on anyone precisely. He'll fight his own pace and counter people based on their output. Yeah, I'm thinking Dustin Jacoby by a decision here. Should be, I think, ahead in every department. And if I had to say his actual line, I think it should be like minus 225 or more. Next fight, we have the Dirty Bird, Tim Means versus Max Griffin. Max Griffin actually impressing a lot of people, even though he lost in his fight against Neil Magny. Hurt him in round 1. Magny seems to always come back and control fighters on the fence or on the ground in rounds 2 and 3. Kind of is just his style. But actually, I thought he did really well. But Griffin's got good power in his hands, keeps a wide base, decent striking, somewhat decent grappling. And I think that he's just been a little bit more active and a better fighter here. Tim Means, somewhat active, but he's getting old. Was outmatched in that Kevin Holland fight. Couldn't deal with the speed, the power, reasonably. Most people can't. Beat Nicholas Dalby. Again, Tim Means' game is set behind a jab and a straight punch he's very good at. He's actually a very quality fighter. Similar to like Sean Strickland in the way that he fights, is just very good stand-up boxing. Took care of Mike Perry pretty easily, again, with just a jab. I think that the slightly younger fighter here is just be a little bit more hungry. I'm thinking decision for Max Griffin here.
Yeah, he tends to win most of his fights by decision. Actually, yeah, he's got quite a few knockouts as well, but I still like the decision here.
Yeah, this is a pretty pick-em fight in my eyes, actually. Like, I mean, Tim Means, it's the same exact concept I think we're talking about with recency bias. People are all judging that last win off Tim Means as he's old and he's done, and Kevin Holland will make you look that way, but against another fighter like Max Griffin here, I mean, Neil Magny's old. Max Griffin looked good in that first round. People are going to remember that. I think that this is a little bit of recency bias playing into this one, but I still like Max Griffin just a slightly more here. I know we're picking a lot of favorites, but there's 10 fights, and like, I mean, the favorites look better this week. I mean, to be honest, we picked, 3 or 4 underdogs last week, something like that, so I don't know. I think this is going to be a close one, but I'm going to say Max by a split decision.
Both these guys are up there in age, too.
Yeah.
Tim Means, 38, and Max Griffin, 36.
Right. I mean, who knows if that's me. It'd probably be a pretty slow fight. I would assume both guys wouldn't just charge at each other, although Max has some good power. But, yeah, Max Griffin by decision. All right, for the main event, we have Calvin Kattar versus Arnold Allen. Kattar coming off a questionable decision loss. I scored the fight for him. Similarly, as I talked about Petr Yan earlier, I think Kattar's got some good defensive boxing, high guard, bounces punches off his hands a lot. I think that happened a lot in the last fight. But, judges see stuff differently, and it's hard
All Emmett's punches were hitting Kattar's shoulder.
Yeah, it's hard for them to understand, and he had like a million jabs in that fight. It's gonna be a close fight for this one, but I like Calvin Kattar here. You're talking about, I think that Arnold Allen will perform fine in a 5-round fight. I don't want to say that we haven't seen him in a 5-round or we don't know how it's gonna go. I think he's gonna do fine. Although he has fatigued a little bit in his fight with Sadiq Youssef when there was some mixed-in grappling. Don't see that in this fight. I see them striking. I don't know. For me, it's more that Calvin Kattar's just kind of a dog, dude. The dude eats everything and keeps coming forward. That Giga fight is the perfect example. I think Calvin Kattar versus Giga would be... Arnold Allen versus Giga would be a very tough matchup for Arnold Allen in an instance like this. He hasn't really faced too many... He has a good resume, but beating Dan Hooker on a tough weight cut, we've talked about, going down divisions is typically a bad cut, and you lose speed advantage and a lot of opportunity there. I think that fight as well, it was a good finish, but adrenaline dumps are a scare for somebody in this fight. If you try to adrenaline dump on Calvin Kattar and you gas out a little bit, it was the same story as the Giga fight. Come back and he just obliterates him with elbows and stuff. I really like his game. I like his boxing. Good jab, good left hand behind it. Good defensive boxing as well. He's got wrestling as well, but Calvin Kattar's got wrestling in his back pocket. What else do you think about this fight?
I think Kattar's top-level experience in Emmett, Chikazi, Holland, Ige, Jeremy Stevens, and Sabit, I think he's fought a lot of the top guys in that division, and I think that experience will help him here. Arnold Allen's coming off of a broken hand in that fight too against Dan Hooker. They tried to get Allen on that July card, but he wasn't ready since broke his hand.
Right.
It could worry you, but I think he'll be fine. But I still like Kattar to win a decision.
Yeah, I mean, it's me another one of those fights where the same thing with the Emmett fight happened. It's hard to score the rounds because measurable damage is really hard to see, and they're just gonna go point for point striking. And maybe if Kattar just late rounds is more of the dog, he'll win those rounds. But for Arnold Allen, for a fight with Sadiq Youssef, which I know they paced that fight to be a 3-round fight, and they'll pace this one to be a 5-round fight. It could be really tough for him here down the stretch. Kattar's shown great experience. Like you said, last 3 fights, Josh Emmett probably would get a title shot if Volkanovski comes back, or we'll need one more fight to get it. Giga, in my opinion, was he was one fight away from the title shot until facing Kattar. And then obviously Max Holloway showed his toughness. A lot of people are going to get dusted from like that on Max Holloway. Yeah, overall, I think that Kattar should have a better game here. I'm actually really surprised so many people are on Allen. Kattar hasn't shown anything to me that he's just going to fold over and lose a fight like this. Maybe it's some bias on my side, but he's one of my favorite featherweights. I do think he's a pretty awesome fighter to watch. But yeah, do you like the decision?
Both these guys. Yeah, I think Kattar will win a decision. Kattar was plus 105 30 minutes ago. That's what I just put a bet in on him, and he's at minus 105 now. So
yeah, I mean,
it's pretty much a pick 'em.
I think I saw he was a minus 130 on some other thing, and he's floating a lot. I mean, it's again recency bias. A dude comes off a win, a dude comes off a loss. Most people scored the loss for Kattar, I think, actually for Kattar. It's just stuff like that. Lost some dumb units too on Kattar's decision as well, but
that's besides the point.
I guess Calvin Kattar's the one underdog we picked. I mean, I don't really think about picking underdogs or favorites in terms of when we go through cards like this, but I guess he floated to an underdog. Overall, I just
I swear over the weekend he was minus 120.
Right. I mean, it's pick 'em, but I don't know. I kind of just think of how these fights will play out in my head, and this one just feels like Kattar by decision. But yeah, Kattar by decision.
Especially with his 5-round experience, I just see him having the better cardio in the 4th and 5th round.
Exactly. Good. Also, his jab in his last fight was the best I've ever seen it, and Emmett is super dangerous. So everyone's got to fight like that against a dude that big in size. So yeah, what we said, Kattar by decision. Back. Okay, guys, this was all of our picks for UFC Vegas 63, Kattar versus Allen. I don't see the best betting spots for this weekend, but I think that we'll come up with 5 or 6 good bets and pop them out to you guys. And NFL video on Wednesday. UFC bets video Thursday. Bets will come out on Instagram. Stay tuned. Anything else from you?
And as I just look at my Twitter, I see Clint is betting on Jared Vanderaa, so
cash it.
Be placing a bet on Waldo.
Yeah, Waldo. Where's Waldo?
We don't like betting heavyweights, or at least I do bet on heavyweights, but I shouldn't. I should stop doing that.
I'm not betting anything on that fight. I don't think. Maybe the under, but anyway. Peace, y'all.
Yeah, peace.
I know. It doesn't matter from the trenches. I'm built like this. Don't doubt me, I couldn't do it. The odds that I couldn't do it. Look at me now.